We're here at the Mackinac Policy Conference, and we have the honor and privilege to be joined by Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. How are you this morning?
I'm great. Good morning.
How's the policy conference been for you so far?
Busy. I think that, with everything going on in Washington, D.C., there's just the palpable tension, right? With all the chaos around tariffs and Michigan being uniquely vulnerable to swings in terms of uncertainty in things like our agriculture, advanced manufacturing, and the autos. And so I think that people are feeling optimistic about where we are at the state, but very uncertain about what's happening at the federal level.
How do we kind of quell some of that pessimistic perspective of what's happening at the national level and let people understand, the impact that it'll have on them once it lands here in Michigan?
Well, I'll be honest, after the last election, I kind of checked out for a little while. I had to turn off all the news. But then, after a little bit of time doing that, I thought, I've got to keep asking myself, what can I do? I can't control everything coming out of Washington, D.C. But if I can impact it or inform it, I got a duty to try. I got to do everything we can at the state level. So today when I take the stage, I'm going to talk a little bit about how Michiganders can do hard things. We got some hard things we have yet to do, and I want to make sure we tackle some of that business at the state level, whether it's roads, shocker, or it is literacy, or it is landing a big chip manufacturing plant. These are things we can do to diversify our economy, to educate and upskill our people, and to fix the fundamentals.
Speaking of literacy, that was a big point of emphasis yesterday here at the conference, as both Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan talked about that, and then there was a K-12 panel sponsored by the Baumler Group almost immediately after. And one of the common themes that came out of both of those is that Michigan's not doing too well right now from an education perspective, and all of our chips really hinge on how we dig ourselves out of this educational hole to become better for the future, as a means to a pipeline for advancement. How do we do that?
Yeah, well, you're going to hear me talk a little bit about that today. So we've made historic investments in education in the last 6 years. I'm proud of that, but money itself is not the solution. It's part of the solution. We've got to make sure that we've got, the State Board of Education is about to hire their new state superintendent. They're the ones that hire the superintendent, not me, not the governor. And so I'm going to implore them to hire an expert in literacy and have this be really our focus. If you can't read, you pay a price for it in financial wealth, in your health. You pay a price for it in your opportunity. And so this is why it's so important that literacy be the North Star of all the policy and of all the funding that we continue to add to our education budget.
Yeah, that was really a point of emphasis again for Dr. Vitti, who talked about, there's a lot of dollars that come through Detroit schools, obviously not enough, but there needs to be some systematic and fundamental changes within the system to ensure that the dollars are being used appropriately to positively affect outcomes.
Yep. And we have this tendency to have, change in the legislature and whipsaw schools back and forth between different policies. Our North Star has to be literacy. I signed into law last year the Science of Reading bills, which is really focused on phonics. That's how so many of us learned how to read in the first place. It works. Yeah, it's old school. Guess what? It works. And we've got to double down on the science that tells us what's working instead of, whomever is in charge from one session to another coming in with a whole new set of policies. We've got to say literacy is going to be the North Star. Let's do everything we can toward that end.
I want to switch lanes a little bit and talk about Detroit. We've got a mayoral debate here happening at Mackinac tomorrow. And we're only about 30 days away from absentee ballots being turned in the city of Detroit. What needs to happen to ensure that there's a good changeover in leadership in the city of Detroit and ensure that the city stays the course on the path that it's been on for the last decade?
Well, the voters got to turn out and vote for who they think the best candidate is. I don't have a vote, but I care deeply about the city of Detroit. It's our flagship city. How Detroit goes, so goes Michigan. And so that's why I'm proud. I've always had a very good working relationship with the current mayor. I hope to have one with the next mayor, whomever the people of the city of Detroit put in that spot.
Mm-hmm. And shortly here after our conversation, there's a meet and greet with the gubernatorial candidates. You're
not one of them.
The one that you're not one of. What is going to be, the group of folks who are looking to replace you. What piece of advice would you give that person who's going to be stepping into office next to take your seat on how to be successful in the office?
But there are a lot of great people who are throwing their hat into the ring. And I've been asked, does it irritate you that the press is just covering all these new people? I'm like, hell no, I love it. you know, hey, lets me just do the work, which is why I love this job and the work, the people. And, the only thing that I've learned a lot of things over the last 7 years. One of the things I always impress upon people is listen. Ask questions and listen to the people. They will tell you what they need. And my favorite thing to do when I was campaigning or even every year as governor is, if I'm in this position, that's what I asked when I was campaigning. But now that I am, what can I do that'll make your life better? People will tell you if you ask. And too many politicians don't even ask the question. And I think that's a superpower that I encourage everyone to do more of, whether you're running for governor or you're leading a business or you're just someone who cares about other people. That's an important question to always be asking.
And I want to just lastly kind of touch on your relationship with the president. A lot of people have made some not so kind remarks about how you are advocating on behalf of the folks of Michigan. But what's your take on it? What do you make of why the relationship between you and the president has taken a change for the better, seemingly?
Seemingly, right? Like, just so yesterday, there was someone else, made some acknowledgments that they're about the kidnapper and plotters who were convicted and releasing them, so I'm still processing that. I don't take lightly political violence, whether it's aimed at me or anyone else for that matter. And so I think anything short of condemning political violence is a danger to all. After the election, I worked really hard to get Kamala Harris elected. I worked so hard, and I really went to a dark place after the election. I kind of had to tune out of the press, out of anything media, social media, all of it. I had to get away from it because I was devastated by the outcome of the election. I couldn't believe it. And yet, after a little bit of time doing that, I thought, all right, I'm the governor of the state of Michigan. This is the 10th largest state in the country. I love the state of Michigan, and I got a duty to keep showing up for the people. Whether or not I like who's in the White House or not, I got to play the hand I am dealt. And so showing up, it comes with a cost. Everything comes with a cost in this moment. But so long as the people of Michigan see that I'm there for them, I don't care what the pundits say. I don't care what the fringe says. The people of Michigan is what my job is. And when I land a fighter mission at Selfridge Base, that is huge for the state of Michigan.
That's huge for the state. Yeah.
When we get the Army Corps to prevent invasive species of fish from coming in and ruining the Great Lakes, that's a big deal. Those are BFDs. I've been trying to work on both of those the whole time I've been governor. I get it done under this president. Go figure. But it's a good thing for Michigan, and that's my North Star. So
you've got just under 2 years left in office.
Yep.
What are you working towards over the next couple of years?
Well, I'm in my speech today, I'm going to talk about how Michigan can do hard things. We have done that. We will continue to do that. The next 3 things I want to make sure we do is get a chip plant in Michigan. We focus on literacy and build the roads. So it's the fundamentals. It always has been. It always will be. That's how we help people get ahead. And that's what we can control. I can't control everything in D.C., but these are the things that I think we can tackle in Michigan.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this last question. Are we going to see a White House bid in 2028?
The question I always get asked, and you're going to get the same answer I give everyone else is, I don't know what's next for me. I really don't. I want to run through the tape as governor. I love this job. I don't want to let the people of Michigan down. And so every day I'm going to stay focused on doing this job. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I tell people I'm going to go walk the earth for a little while and clear my head because these jobs are hard and they take a toll. And I'm not going to take a break until the last day. But on that last day, I'm going to do something with my husband and my dogs and clear my head for a little bit.
Well, I'm going to give you a break right now.
Right.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Your time.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.